Welcome to Red Wing League of Women Voters Meet Your 2024 Candidates. My name is Tina Langton, I'm a member of the Executive Committee of Red Wing League of Women Voters. Thank you for coming. We'd like to give a special thanks to the candidates for being here and to our community partners, the City of Red Wing, AAUW, Red Wing Area Chamber of Commerce, Citizen Fund and Lobby, Prairie Island Indian Community, and Hispanic Outreach for bringing you this event. If you have questions during the event, please use the note card provided and raise your hand. A question writer will come and pick it up and give it over to our league facilitators. For more than 100 years, League of Women Voters has been a trusted source for nonpartisan voter registration and education, and a long-standing witness to Minnesota's proud tradition of voter access and election integrity. We invite you to visit our website, our state website, lwvmn.org, to learn about the statutes, best practices, and safeguards associated with Minnesota elections, and also look at Elections 411 webpage. Follow the link to vote411.org for a one-stop shop for all your election needs, personalized to you, including a voter's guide. We hope all our candidates tonight have some useful information to vote for. League of Women Voters is a nonprofit organization focused on grassroots voter education. We encourage active and informed participation in government and do not endorse candidates for office or political parties. The opinions expressed tonight are those of the candidates and not those of League of Women Voters. If you're interested in learning more about League, please stop by our table out front. Before we hear from the candidates, we have some general information guidelines to share with you. The forum this evening is being recorded by the City of Red Wing for future broadcast. The recordings will be made available on local cable access channels, our league Facebook page and website, the state league website, vote411.org, and Red Wing's social media site. Vote411.org is a voter guide where you can check your voter registration, find information about your ballot, and the candidates. Remember, early voting started on Friday, September 20th, so if you haven't registered to vote or requested an absentee ballot and would like to do so, please stop by our table. Before I introduce our moderator, I will read two statements that were provided from candidates that were unable to attend tonight. The first is from Lisa Larson. She states, "Good evening, Red Wing community members. Unfortunately, I cannot attend the school board forum, but I would like to share some thoughts that I believe are vital to our students' success. 1. Mental health support in schools. With the increase of online student space, prioritizing mental health resources such as counselors, mental health professionals, and peer support programs is essential. Expanding mental health education and providing safe spaces within schools will significantly impact students' well-being. Communication with stakeholders. I believe that listening to the perspectives of students, parents, and teachers is key to making the right decisions. Our schools serve as the foundation for our community's future, and every decision should reflect the collective needs and interests of all involved. 3. Student well-being and equity. Fostering a holistic approach that supports students' emotional, physical, and social needs, along with ensuring equitable access to resources for all students, is key to their success. Our schools should prioritize inclusive practices and ensure every student has the opportunity to thrive. Thank you for your ongoing commitment to improving our schools and addressing the issues that matter most to the students and families in our community. I look forward to learning more about the outcome of the forums, these elections." And from Jennifer Tift, she states, "My name is Jennifer Tift, and I am hoping to be re-elected to serve a second term on the Red Wing School Board. During my first term on the board, I have been on our teaching and learning team, District Advisory Council, negotiations team, and I have had the responsibility of being our board clerk. Due to having served for 4 years and bringing understanding about district history and goals moving forward, I have experienced working with a passionate group of board members who have come together to improve the educational experiences for Red Wing students, even through COVID, forced superintendents, and budget cuts. I'm level-headed and thoughtful, and I work to be sure that decisions are made on behalf of all students of Red Wing Public Schools. As shown over the past 4 years, I'm dedicated to the Red Wing community and willing to put in the time and effort needed to become educated about issues, build relationships, and make positive change for our students and families. My priorities for Red Wing Public Schools are to continue the work we have started with the Prairie Island Indian community and extend it to all marginalized groups of students within our schools so that they are seen and heard and welcomed in our school communities. In addition, we must work to improve our educational outcomes in math, science, and reading through a focus on continued professional development, self-encompassing, testing policy and procedures, student mental health, and creating a culture in our schools where all students see themselves as learners. Thank you for support of the children, families, and staff of Reading Public School. Now, I would like to introduce our moderator for this evening, Lauren Savelli. Lisa is a Red Wing resident and a longtime League of Women Voters member and past president. A former member of the Red Wing City Council, she now works for Edinburgh County as the Director of Safe Communities. Thank you, Lisa, for moderating our forums.
Thank you, Tina. Hello, everyone. Whoa. Okay, we gotta get a little bit lighter atmosphere in here. Good to be here. Thank you so much, League of Women Voters, for putting this on. First, I'm a proud member of League, and I hope that everyone here knows about it, and I encourage you to find out more, consider becoming a member, or supporting it. Now, this is really an important role that League fills about bringing this kind of information, because without knowledge, your vote isn't really informed. So, glad to be here. I'm going to just address a couple things. I want to especially welcome the candidates. Putting your hat in the ring and being willing to step up and participate in this. This is absolutely one of the most basic pieces of democracy. And so you are doing something that we all really appreciate. And I'd like to just have us all give a quick round of applause. For a few ground rules, the questions for the candidates were collected online, by email and by mail, and then reviewed by experienced and trained League of Women Voters team. We received many, many more questions than we could possibly get to tonight. So what we tried to do was to select questions that represented the most talked about topics, in some cases put some questions together, and to try to get to cover as many of the things that appear that people wanted to hear about. Each candidate will have 90 seconds to make an opening statement and 60 seconds to respond to each question I ask. I found the best way to do this when we have so many candidates is I will announce the question and the first three people, and then I'll repeat the question and we'll do the next three people. We also have it rotating so that the arrangement or the process will be different for each question. So we don't have the same people beginning and ending the question each time. Time is being kept by Sue Rasmussen and Heidi Jones here in the front, and the candidates will also have 60 seconds for a closing statement. Each candidate has an opportunity to make one rebuttal statement, and they can indicate they wish to do so. They have a green card with them, and they will wave the green card and wait until everyone's responded, and then they will be able to make one issue. A few comments, other things. You'll notice I'm not going to use any titles or last names. I've got checks at the candidates. Everyone's comfortable with being called by their first name, or in Stasha's way, we'll call them by Stash, as he's asked. I've gone over the format with each of the candidates. I also want you to know that all the candidates will ask before tonight's event to tell their supporters to refrain from wearing campaign paraphernalia or waving signs. And I'd like to ask all of the participants here, or the observers, to be respectful of the candidates and of the other observers. Let's keep a civil and respectful tone tonight. We're here to listen and to learn. This is an opportunity to listen and to learn, and not an opportunity to show your support for one individual candidate. So if you do that, please keep it respectful. In case of an inappropriate partisan disruption, there will be one warning by me. A second disruption could lead to a pause in the proceedings. We've never had to do that, and so I ask that we keep our streak running. Please do not applaud, speak, shout, or make other noise while candidates are speaking or if you can during the forum. Any time that's spent in applause or other noise shortens the amount of time that the candidates have to present you, the voters, with the information you need to make your choices. You will be invited to applaud or otherwise demonstrate at the end of the candidates' closing statements. We've also asked candidates to refrain from saying anything that may be considered a personal statement about the other candidates, and of course we expect candidates to speak truthfully. I will not be doing fact checking while the candidates are speaking. I just don't have that capacity, so I'm just telling you that right now. Please join me now in welcoming the Red Wing School Board candidates. Kayla Johnson, Stan Stosh Doty, Kim Hudson, Jeremy Koenig, Michael J. Lickness Holmes, Philip White, and Natasha Gates. And Ryan Reeser. I'm sorry, and Ryan Reeser. Ryan was late. We didn't know about Ryan, so this not great.
At least I was Kayla.
Kayla Anderson. I'm sorry, my list here was wrong. I apologize. And Kayla Anderson. Okay. I am going to now call on the candidates for their opening statements, and we will go in the order that I just stated. So we'll first have Kayla, Stan, Stosh, and then Kim. Kayla, if you could please tell them and your opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kayla Anderson, and I'm a proud Red Wing graduate of Red Wing Public Schools, as well as my husband. We've been married for 16 years. I have over 25 years in business leadership, which equips me with essential skills to become a board member. I currently have 3 children, 2 that are in the district, 1 that will be entering next year. And I also had an opportunity to lead Minnesota for about 17 years, where I was able to be on other boards and communities in larger school districts such as Colorado and Texas. So I believe I can bring a new perspective to the Red Wing School Board as well. We moved back 2.5 years ago, and I noticed the district is facing several challenges. Low student achievement, budget issues, and declining enrollment not only affect our district, but our community as well. If I'm elected, I will make sure to be fiscally responsible based on what is best for our students. Then get back to basics. Ask basic questions such as, why are we doing it? Who does it benefit and who does it harm? After all, we are in charge of $51 million and every dollar should matter. I plan to listen and research to make informed decisions on what is best for our students' education. Thank you very much, and thanks for coming out to support.
Well, Dr. Galani, I'm Stan Doty, or Stosh. Most people that know me here go by that. I've been here in Red Wing for 8 years. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I think it's a reason why I'm running. I don't have any children here, but I have a lot of friends and neighbors that do have children or grandchildren here. And I think it's important that someone's on the board that has, I want to have the children's best interest in mind. As they're growing up, learning different things, but making sure, I don't know specifics about what all the curriculum is here in the Red Wing district, but, I hear through the media, children being taught things that they shouldn't be taught, or at least things they should be taught at home or at church. But I believe in the basics. Reading, writing, and arithmetic, social studies, home ec, and shop classes, things like that. To let the students learn the things that they're going to need when they go out into the real world, because, as you all know, it's pretty tough out there. Once you leave that controlled environment, things can be tough. I have 2 children. I got 1 left. I got 9 children, 9 grandchildren out in Kansas, where I just visited, and they're doing well. They're home taught by their mom. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kim Hudson. I've been living in Railway almost 6 years. I have 4 kids. One was a graduate of Railway High School. He's a stats junior. I currently work in the mental health field with kids. I actually have like 22 years of experience working in mental health for kids. So if I'm elected, I plan on pushing is to help our youth, because if their mental was not right, then how can they learn properly? I also plan on working on diversity because this community is becoming more diverse. And so I really think that we should richly embrace diversity because diversity brings resilience to this community. I also want to focus on the inclusion plan with implementing all cultures into education. And that's about it.
Thank you. Next we'll hear from Michael, Natasha, and Jeremy.
Hello, I'm Michael J. Lickness Holmes. I've been a resident of Red Wing for well over 30 years. If elected to the school board, I feel like I can bring a different perspective because I was one of those youth that all of us in this room are fighting for. You know, three things that I would like to push for: cultural competency. That's one. Two, I think we all can agree on here is the mental health of our children. And three, safety of our children. And I feel like if we can come together like I know we can, we'll start seeing those proficiency rates go up. So if elected, that's what I would push for. That is what I would strive for, is to be an example of somebody who's been there, somebody who could proper representation for our youth is my biggest thing. So thank you.
Hello, I'm Natasha Yates, and as been mentioned, too many of our students are facing anxiety, depression, and distraction impacting their learning. Parents are the expert for their children. Teachers are the experts for their classrooms. The administrators are the experts running the schools. What I could bring to the school board is someone who can look at issues from different perspectives. My background includes a doctorate in environmental education, 25 years teaching 5th grade, middle school and high school science, and as a professor in education. As a parent, our 3 children went from kindergarten through 12th grade in the Red Wing School District, and I've also spent 8 years on the Red Cottage Montessori School Board and 9 years on the board of the Eagle Bluff Environmental Learning Center in Lanesboro, and presently on the Red Wing Library Board here. Too many of our students are struggling with mental health issues and low test scores. As a candidate, I understand there are solutions to these challenges, and I understand these challenges as a parent, as a teacher, and as a student activist. Thank you for coming.
I'm Jeremy Koenig. I moved to Red Wing in 2001 after I graduated college with an engineering degree 15 years ago. I married a Red Wing graduate, and she went on to further education and become a physician assistant. We've got 4 children in town here. They're ranging from kindergarten to 7th grade, so we got school-age children. My wife and I, we raise our children to be thoughtful and respectful of everybody else, themselves, and their faith. Excuse me. Anyways, we self-sacrifice, personal commitment, and kindness are the things that we teach our children. And sorry, I'm gonna break. Anyways, I'm running for school board. I think I'll take a break. Thank you.
And next we have Philip and Ryan.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Philip White. before I applied for the school board position. I was a Native American liaison for Red Wing Public School District for about 4 years. I have one daughter who's in 5th grade. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old who will be joining the school district shortly in the next year. If I'm elected to the school board, I want to push representation for our students, which means more staff that students can connect with, whether they be Hispanic, Black, African American, Native American, just someone they can connect with. If you look at our percentages in the school district, we do not have those numbers. Also, I would like to push for more cultural competency training for staff, all staff, just not teachers, school board members, everybody. I would like to push more cultural education throughout all grades throughout the district. And just more community engagement from school board to see more school board members at community events, just so we can hear what people are saying and what they need. Thank you.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me okay? My name is Ryan Reisker. I was born and raised in Red Wing. Lived here most of my life, save for a stint in the Twin Cities. I'm also a graduate. I was graduated in 1996 I was the first graduating class from this high school. I've got a 12-year-old son in 7th grade. And I am asking for your vote for the school board because basically I have seen some things that I am personally not I'm not going to say not happy with, but I think I'm not happy with the trajectory of the public school in general. Many of these things are fiscal, and there are also some cultural things that I would change. I look forward to representing you in the community and look forward to representing the students as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you, candidates. We're going to get on to the questions. The first, I'll repeat this. So the first question is going to be to Jeremy, then Michael, then Ryan. The question. As everyone knows, the issue of finances and budgets is one of the most serious of the responsibilities of a school board member. What are your budget priorities for the Red Wing Public Schools? And if you have to make financial cuts, where would you start?
Great. So looking at our budgets, first thing I would do is compare our budgets to neighboring schools' KM budgets and see how we compare to where do we spend compared to them. Our transportation costs versus some of their transportation costs. Like, for instance, our transportation costs have increased quite a bit in the last 4 or 5 years. And I don't know if that's due to the standard busing or if it's due to increased cost of the school, the bus companies themselves. So I would compare our budget to other budgets to see how we're going to compare. I will look at what kind of priorities we need. I know we spend more than other schools and there's state projects as well. So kind of look at our needs specifically for our community and make adjustments that the kids need.
Kind of glad we got this question out the way right away for me. Finance, I would honestly really look into what's really hurting our school system, what is really breaking us down. And then from there, get a little bit more itemized with it. Where is this money being spent? Where, if we got a pretty hefty budget, and by the sounds of it, a lot of it, there's some questions that could be asked a lot more. And I think with the group of school board members, when we all come together in our collectiveness, we could figure out a solution. Everybody has their own attributes when it comes to this. So I will look into a more itemized financing budget. Thank you.
This may be a little bit different than some of the other candidates, but instead of focusing on cuts, I'd like to understand why we have budget shortfalls that we are having right now. One of the biggest reasons we are losing students at my eyes, an unacceptable rate. So, it's $15,000 per head per student. $15,000 per student. So if you're losing 100 students a year, you can do the math. It's 1.5 investment. If budget cuts need to happen, I think you need to take a very deep look at what it's going to affect for students, for the community, for everyone involved. With really no good reason or good answer to this, but that is what I have.
The next three, thank you, Ryan. The next three is Kim, then Stash, then Philip. And I'll repeat the question. What are your budget priorities for the Red Wing Public Schools? And if we had to make financial cuts, where would you start?
I'm just gonna be real honest. I'm not gonna pretend that I know everything that's going on with the budget. But if I was looking at a budget, where I would look at is what's important, what's needed, what can be taken away. So, and so if I can agree, I will look at if we cut it now, whatever it is, could we look at a later date of bringing it back? So I would prioritize like what's important to the community and the kids. And then I would take it from there. And then I would cut that's what's hurting, and I would keep what's good. But I would also not think about cutting, I would think about what can we add to bring revenue to the school district. Thank you.
Bye. I haven't had much to do with real budgets over in my home. My sisters really helped me with that, understanding that. But I know that you can't spend or plan to spend more than what you're taking in. And so I'm pretty sure that after the elections, I'm going to delve into the school budget, see what's going on with the district. And I know in the history of America, a lot of times the first things that are cut are what people regard as non-essentials, sports and the arts. I think those are just as important as everything else. Sports, healthy body, healthy mind. In the arts, I've been involved with musicals, band, plays, and being an artist. So I want to make sure that the children get what they need and do it in a reasonable manner. Thank you.
Next we have Philip, and Kayla, and Natasha.
Working with the school district for the past 4 years, I've seen some budgets. In my opinion, more transparency with the public is what we need, and more information to the public, and then more feedback from the public, so that as a school board, we know what the community wants and the community needs. As far as cuts go, I don't think we should be cutting positions. We should be looking at other sources of funding for that, whether it be state, federal, outside organizations. It's just putting the work in to find the funding to help support our students, our families, our teachers, our staff, our educators, our administrators.
I think again, it goes back to the importance of basics. Asking again why we are doing it, who does it benefit, and who will apply? Because ultimately we need to make decisions that are based on the best for all the students. I know that in the 2023, we increased the budget, but it also included a lot of mandates. The mandates are nothing that anybody has control over. And I know that the COVID funds are almost gone. So right now we receive about $7,800 per student. And so again, when we're dealing with $51 million of budget, we need to make sure that we're transparent, but that we also do our research and prioritize what's best for our own students. Well, we need a balanced budget. And the first thing I would do is look at the district and the community and what are some assets that we have that we're not utilizing. For example, sometimes we feel we need to hire a consultant, which is thousands of dollars. If we look within the schools or the community, we may have those experts right here. As Kayla mentioned, any decisions made about the budget have to be made with the best interests of all of the students that are in the district.
Thank you. The next question is about staff support. What would you do to be supportive of staff at all levels to make their jobs more safe, enjoyable, affordable, and want to continue working there? And we're going to go, I'll read the question again. We're going to Michael, then Kayla, then Jeremy. Again, what would you do to be supportive of staff at all levels to make their jobs more safe, enjoyable, affordable, and for them to want to continue working?
First of all, if they're a huggable person, because sometimes a hug, it really does a lot for a person. But on a more serious note, is assure them that we have their back. Assure them that we're here to support. Overall, just assure them. Make them feel welcome. Because I'll help bridge that connection with teachers and students. Let them know that they're supported, they're loved, they're cared about, and they're cherished, trusted. So, but overall, give them a hug.
I don't know about you, but I like positive affirmations. I like, especially in a work setting, it seems like everybody's quick to point out everything that people are doing wrong, and I think we need to do a better job at telling the students, staff, and teachers what they're doing right, because there's a lot of things that they are doing right. I know that they care deeply, a lot of them, for my children, because they come home and they're just super excited and engaged, and that comes also back with making sure that we retain the really good teachers. And making sure that we listen and encourage them. So they know better than anybody else what's going on in the school district, and so I think we need to do a really good job at making sure that they're heard as well.
So to retain our quality teachers and staff, I think the first thing we do is to create a safe working environment. We've heard a lot of stories about the adverse things that happen here. The school board member, our role is to ensure we have policies in place that go protect our students, protect our teachers, and we have policies already in place. So we need to enforce those policies to protect our staff and not, like they said, make them feel welcome. Another thing, though, is we do have to show from the community, give feedback to say, what do you like about these teachers? What don't we like, what's going on? So, okay, reciprocate some of that new creation.
Thank you. Next we have Philip, Ryan, and Natasha. I'll read the question again. What would you do to be supportive of staff at all levels to make their jobs more safe, enjoyable, affordable, and for them to want to continue working?
Just be supportive of the staff. If they need more education, support them, whether it be cultural or anything they need, support them. Because that's just gonna help them connect with our students Because if you look at our student body groups, in the next 10 to 15 years, our classrooms are going to look totally different than they do now. So we need to start thinking about supporting our staff, our students, and that comes in with more equity training, more cultural sensitivity training, just making sure that they're educated, making sure that staff are educated, and just supporting the staff and giving them what they need, and just being there just to assure them that they're doing a good job and have them be more engaged with families and just not the students.
One of the main jobs of the school board is to set policies. Setting policies that are conducive to make sure that staff, teachers, faculty in general are empowered is one of the most important things you can do. I feel that if you have teachers that are empowered and everyone is set to achieve a common goal, the team will work much better together. You'll have a much more productive student body, and things will go smoother. This is how I feel that our grades will increase, or our grades will improve in this community, and we'll have much more active, happy student body. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have Natasha, Stash, and then Kim. Yes. What would you do to be supportive of staff at all levels to make their jobs more safe, enjoyable, affordable, and want to continue working there?
Well, I'd start by asking them what they would like, what do they like about their job. If we have policies in place that actually interfere with their ability to do their job, what would those be? What are some things that they think would help them feel safer and more efficient with their work? Also, I think to demonstrate gratitude for what everyone does in the district. A thank you card can go a long way. It shows there's gratitude, it's in writing, and it's saying, hey, we took time to think about what you do and appreciate what you're doing for the district, because everybody who's employed here is important and is contributing to what's in the best needs of the students.
Well, I know that the staff is important, otherwise, the kids here would not be getting an education. One of the first things I would do is communicate, talk with the staff, and in the different schools, find out what their concerns are, what they think works good, what doesn't, and act on that. And I think it's also very important to give positive affirmation. If somebody's doing a good job, let them know that. And if it's across the board, let everybody know that. That really helps to improve the work environment and their productivity, and helps to instill in them how important it is that they're there and that they do the job well. And if necessary, remind them that the students are the ones that benefit from them doing good jobs. Thank you.
Being that I've been on the other side of this question, because I've been a parent for Railway School District, and I've also served as a parent for Railway. So I would say the two biggest things for me will be respect and communication. Because let's be honest, the teachers and the parents are kind of the heart of the school. So if they can't do their job properly without fear or not feeling supported, then they can't be of good use to the kid. I feel like maybe check-in, emails, or if you're like roaming the hall and you see something going on, do a check-in. I just think that communication, support, and respect goes a long way when you work in this kind of environment, because it's enough that sometimes the kids don't respect you, but if you don't have respect for an admin, then you don't have anything really. Thank you.
Kim, I'm going to ask you if you could stay up at the mic because you're first up next. And I'm going to make you sit down again.
The next question, and we're going to go, this will be Kim, Philip, and then Natasha.
What is one thing you are interested in modifying or changing in the Red Wing School District? Please explain your answer.
Oh, wow, okay. Curriculum. I would like to implement some diversity with history. That's a big issue for me. I know it maybe can happen, it's not fiscally possible right now, but maybe sometimes in the future, maybe add a few trade classes, because for one, I think that would improve their enrollment. It would give kids something to look forward to. That's about it. I think that's a big thing that's going on right now is more enrollment. So I think that if we implemented some trade classes, it will influence the kids that want to come to school, and it also could possibly bring in some revenue.
Next we have Philip and then Natasha.
One of the main things I would change would be some of the hiring processes for staff and district employees, just so we have more representation so that the students can see themselves and see people who look like them or they can relate to, just to put more just so that they can see themselves at school. You have somebody who looks like them, maybe believes in the same thing, has the same views, just wants to connect with somebody. For me, when the students can connect with the teacher or with somebody who they're working with, that the connection is strong, and that's more of a place for them to succeed.
The Red Wing School District sits on 342 acres of land, and it's rich with nature. I've heard many parents in the community talk about wishing their children could spend more time outdoors during the school day, learning. Research shows that when children learn outside, it improves their physical and mental health, it increases their self-esteem, self-confidence, test scores, and it connects them to each other and to nature. Sunnyside Elementary, Twin Bluff Middle School, and the Red Wing High School all have existing outdoor classrooms that aren't utilized very much. So I would really encourage a district to utilize the land and the nature that we had right here at our school.
Thank you. Next we're going to have, and I'll read the question again. Next we're going to have Jeremy, then Michael, and then Ryan. What is one thing you are interested in modifying or changing in the Red Wing School District? Please explain your answer.
The thing that I'm most concerned or most passionate about this school is, after doing some research, is the absenteeism issue at our school. We have a problem with a big majority of the kids just don't come to school 90% of the time. And I think that's reflected in our grades. And the best way to do that is to figure out, reach out to the students and parents, why aren't your kids being in school on a consistent basis? So we could figure out some way to improve that, either have conversations with these families, if there's a transportation issue, if there's other issues. But I think one of the biggest things that we need to figure out is get our kids back in school on a consistent basis so they can learn on a consistent basis as well. Thanks.
What is one thing you are interested in modifying or changing in the Red Wing School District? Please explain your answer.
I would like to see more culturally diverse gatherings. Like we just recently had our first Wasiti here on these grounds. If I remember correctly, September is Hispanic Heritage Month. We had Kwanzaa coming up, Black History Month coming up, and the reason I say that is because all those students are represented within this community of Red Wing. But are we really representing them by not giving them that opportunity of seeing some proper representation. You know, I love the idea of 340 acres of property here. I mean, how many of you guys were told as a kid, get outside? Let's get these kids outside, man. Thank you.
Next we have Ryan, then Kayla, and then Stash. Would you like me to read the question? What is one thing you are interested in modifying or changing in the Red Wing School District? Please explain your answer.
One thing I would like to change is how we move forward in the future with kids who are struggling. Yes, you know, are we using peer sponsored tutors? Are we, you know, is there enough resources available to help these kids out that could be struggling? And this goes for you know, the entire demographic, every student. I would like to know and to understand what we are doing, if we are, you know, if we're actually helping these kids through, or if they're getting, I'm not going to say labeled, but you know, just to make sure that they're getting the help that they need to try to be, you know, the best student they can possibly be. Not everyone has a great home life, so the structure at school sometimes is very beneficial for students to achieve what their best possible outcome.
Next we have Kayla and then Stash.
I'd really like to be able to retain student, staff, and teachers. It's disheartening that we continue to lose so many of really great teachers and students to other districts. And I think if we do our job as a school board, we can hopefully allow it to be a wonderful place for many people to want to come and be a part of. Ways to do that would maybe make sure that we could have a positive culture in the school. Again, what a lot of people had recommended as far as new suggestions, but I think if we collaborate together, we can make some of those positive changes that people would want to be a part of Red Wing Public Schools.
Well, like I said when I started, you know, believing the basics, and you know, I talked to a couple of parents and a couple of recent graduates, and they told me that cursive is no longer taught. I don't know the validity of that or not. That's something I would definitely find out. Well, like I said, we need to prepare the students for real life. When they walk out the door and they're renting their first apartment or buying their first junk car, or they need to be able to sign their name. You know, there's a lot of businesses you don't like you to print it. They want you a signature, writing it. So I think that's one small thing that can make a difference in the lives of these children as they enter the real world. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 4. Moving on to something that's been in the news a great deal in a lot of different ways. The topic is bullying. There was a recent incident in a Red Wing public school involving a shameful incident of bullying and some racist behavior. What was your plan to prevent bullying in the schools? And when students do violate the anti-bullying policies that are in place, how do you propose to hold students accountable? I'm going to read the question again. What is your plan to prevent bullying in the schools? And when students do violate the anti-bullying policies, what is your plan, or how do you propose to hold students accountable? We're going to start with Brian, and then Stash, and then Kayla.
They gave me the easiest one of the night. This is never an easy topic to talk about, but it's also a very important one to discuss. I don't have all the answers. I guess, you know, if there is a incident like this, there should be first some, you know, there needs to be some action taken against the aggressor or the person who did this. There also needs to be some possibly a talk with the students involved, and understanding that children often aren't, let's face it, they don't have a fully mature brain. They may not even know what that means. I think some, a talk with them goes a long ways, along with punishment. That would be the first. That's what I've got.
One of the mantras of, see something, say something. If the adults in the area aren't aware of something going on, they can't help fix it. So it's important that the students know where a safe place is, where a safe person is, that they can talk to without any retaliation from the bully. I went through it from both ends when I was a kid, and I retired from the military 10 years ago, but when I was 50, I suffered elder abuse from fellow soldiers because they were younger than my kids. So I understand it, and I understand that the students, they're vulnerable, and they need to know who they can talk to help resolve the situation, because they're sensitive. We have to be careful and make sure that they will be heard. Thank you.
One of our jobs as a school board member is to set policy. And I am actually really excited that the school board was able to hire our superintendent that I think helps to enforce that vision. So I think if we build an environment where the students feel safe and valued, I think a lot of that could be alleviated. I think sometimes students act out because they don't feel like they're heard or they're understood or anything like that. So I think if we had good policies set in place and strong leadership that can make sure that those policies are enforced, will also help with safety for our teachers, staff, and students all around.
Thank you. Next, we're going to have Kim, then Michael, and then Natasha. And I'll read the question again. What would be your plan to prevent bullying in the schools? And when students do violate the anti-bullying policies, how would you propose to hold students accountable?
First, I will look at the age range, and I will look at what's going on, what's the root of it. I do think the policy should be enforced. So I think on the first 10, depending on the severity of the situation, I do think first, second, third, call on the parents. If it's an ongoing issue, follow policy. I'm kind of old school, so when I was growing up, if it was an issue of bullying, both sets of parents came to the school. Both kids was in the office. They talked it out, because some of it might be learned behavior from home.
I actually think this is a good example where cultural competency comes into play. If we really teach our youth, first of all, that's so-called incident. The word that was used is used in a derogatory sense, but if people actually look it up and really research it, it means king. So would these kids actually be using that word eventually? You would admit. But like I said, cultural competency comes into play, and at the same time, I think, not just the disciplining of the parents or the children. I don't even want to call it disciplining, but I would like to say parents, their said child should be held accountable, because a lot of this is learned behavior. Our children aren't dumb. And, we got to quit acting like it, because it's coming from somewhere. If it's not school.
Next, we have Natasha, Jeremy, and then Philip. I'll read the question again. What would be your plan to prevent bullying in the schools? And when a student does violate the anti-bullying policies, how would you propose to hold students accountable?
Well, Anti-bullying curriculum for the students in the schools is important. That includes empowering students to feel comfortable speaking up to adults that they trust in the system. Also, we also need training for all of the adults in the system to understand microaggressions, to recognize them, to speak up, and to teach children how to recognize them, and that can be a form of bullying. I had another thought for like falling on my brain. As far as what do you do once an incident has happened, is not turn away from it or just point it out. People need to be sat down and talked to. Find out why did the students do the bullying? What did they understand they were doing? What did they not understand they were doing? And take the opportunity to educate those involved what has happened.
So in order to prevent bullying or disruptive behavior in our school, we have school resource officers that can help with that. That is a good step to do that. And also, there's also been rumors of things that are happening. Kids are afraid to go in the bathrooms, always during class. And then, we can station people outside the bathrooms, and you can have some kind of a monitoring system to prevent that from happening. What I would do if it were to happen, definitely have to have a conversation with both parties, but I would definitely hold the people accountable. By not holding them accountable, we're just giving them this impression that you've given up on them, and we don't feel like we have higher standards for them. So I would hold these people accountable, and yes, they have conversations with their family. And there's probably a reason, and it may not have anything to do with the person that was the subject of what happened. So, thank you.
Yes. What would be your plan to prevent bullying in the schools? And when students do violate the anti-bullying policies, how would you propose to hold students accountable?
When it comes to bullying, I believe in a zero tolerance kind of disciplinary action. I mean, you have to take into account that age levels, severity of the incidents. But if it happens on multiple occasions, then policy should be the same for every student, every family. Readmittance should be involved with both parties and both families before they're readmitted back into school, and they should be educated. We should take those moments as a learning experience. You should be able to teach those students on what they did wrong, or what they did, or the other ones did right, just to have a connection with the students and the family.
Thank you. And Philip, I'm going to ask if you could stay up at the mic because you're first up. Unless you want us to.
Crap.
And this is going to be Philip, and then Ryan, and then Kim. Please explain your position about the need to regulate books for the students in the Red Wing Public School System.
Do they even use books anymore? I'm pretty sure Chromebooks are the way they do things nowadays.
Well, I'm referring to the current debate over regulating or even banning books that are in the public school library.
I don't believe you should be banning books. It's art. I mean, it should be up to the parents whether or not they want their student to read it or not. They can call the teacher and say, I don't want my student reading this book. And they should be able to come up with an alternative solution to help that student still succeed. But there shouldn't be any banning of books. That's art. That's like telling me I can't listen to certain music or look at certain art.
Next we have Ryan and then Kim.
I do believe that there needs to be a little bit of talk about this as far as grade level goes. I don't think that first through fifth graders should be to have access to anything that some would deem pornographic by nature. This falls under inclusivity. There are certain people who may not agree with that, and that's okay. As far as an all-out ban from fifth grade on up, I would vehemently oppose that. That's something that our First Amendment should cover, and that's what makes this country great is our constitutional rights. Thank you.
I personally think that kids shouldn't have code books in school. I feel like kids spend enough time on technology as it is outside of school. I feel like Chromebooks and anything that falls in that category is kind of cheating. You don't know if they really learned it. I think when you use the book, you get more out of it. Yes, my kids have electronics at home, but I also buy them books, and they're very upset about it, and I'm okay with that. But yeah, I think that books should stay in. Kids are in electronics a lot nowadays, so with the books, you could ditch the Chromebook.
Next, we have Stash, then Kayla, and then Michael. Please explain your position about the need to regulate books in the Red Wing schools.
Well, I watch a lot of news and hear things, and if someone's reading out of the textbook, or at a school board meeting, you're told to stop because that's too graphic for a public discussion. Well, then our children should not have access to it. If it's too graphic for adults to hear, it's too graphic for kids to read. And that type of banning I believe in. There's things that. There's drawings. People think, oh, it's art. Well, that one's showing the position artifacts from Guantanamo, or something from Kenya or South America. We need to see even drawings. So our children should not be exposed to such things like that.
Kayla, and then we'll have Michael and Natasha.
This is kind of a tough one, but I do, for the most part, trust in the educators to pick out the books. They should be age appropriate, and I do think that parents should be able to question. It's okay to ask questions, and it's okay to get answers. Sometimes we don't know. I do believe in it needing to be grade level appropriate, but I do think banning books are part of history, so I think it would be detrimental to ban them overall.
My daughter has a lot of electronics, but before she even can turn those electronics on, the first thing we do in our house is you got to read me a couple of chapters out of a book. I agree that there should be a grade level, like stipulations with the grade levels. Obviously, no kindergartner should be learning about baby at that time. But banning books, I'm not for. I think books are a form of healing, a form of art, a form of expression. It's just a form of just going into a whole nother world. Like sometimes you just go into your own world and put yourself into that world. So that's what I say with that. Thank you.
We have Natasha, and then finally we Jeremy.
Well, we have gatekeepers for books in the schools already. There's a school librarian whose job, she's a professionally trained librarian whose job is to figure out what do the clientele, which are the students, need as far as books in the library. Teachers that develop classroom libraries also are experts at understanding what their students need, and they provide books in the classrooms. Parents have a right to say, I don't want my child reading that book, and deciding if they will let them or not. But they don't have a right to tell all of the parents that their children can't read that book. Also, on May 17th, 2024, Governor Walz signed into law that Senate File 3567 states it's against the law in the state of Minnesota to ban books from public libraries, including schools.
I guess I would look at this from a different perspective. So banning books is something that isn't really appropriate for a school. Like the school, you should have restricted use books. Public library, that's where you're considering the standard table books. School books should be age appropriate for the students. The school policy already defines what is considered obscene, and that's what should get used to judge what kind of books we're giving these children. Banning books at a public school is different than banning books at a public library. So I think banning books at a public library, that's a different topic, but I think at a school, we should have restricted use for students where they're age appropriate.
Thank you. Next, we're going to go to a question about school and student enrollment. We're going to start with Natasha, Jeremy, and then Philip. What could the school board do to address the loss of student enrollment to other districts?
I think that's a very hard question. I think we need to know why they're leaving. So we have a number of students going to Goodhue County who are residents of Red Wing, and polling those or surveying those families to find out why are they leaving. They're not all leaving for the same reason. So we can address those reasons where appropriate. We have a lot that are switching to fully online learning. We can ask, again, why are they transitioning to all online learning, and find out ways that we can draw them back to face-to-face learning if it's appropriate for them.
Primary reason I heard families leave redundant schools has to do with safety or culture. So we have to ensure that we have a safe environment for our children and students, but we also have to improve our culture by making this a thought after school, making these families know that we will be holding people accountable. We work on high standards for our students. We will have expectations that we expect these children to exceed and excel in their classes. Thank you.
Next we have Philip, and then we'll have Kayla and Ryan. Yes. What could the school board do to address the loss of student enrollment to other districts?
I think we need to address the issue of IEP and 504 plans that are out there and find out why some of these families are leaving the district and where's their support. Some of these families probably don't understand these plans. Who's explaining them to them? We need to lean on our social workers, our counselors, our administrators to find out what is going on. They should be more community engaged. They should be asking, questions. They should be asking harder questions. Our families and our community members shouldn't be afraid to ask a hard question. If you were to ask me a question that made me uncomfortable, I'd remember it the next day. That should be the same for our administrators and people that support our kids and our families.
Next we have Kayla, Ryan, and Stash. And I'll read the question again. What could the school board do to address the loss of student enrollment to other districts?
I think it's our job as school board members to listen to the community and to listen to the parents and why they're leaving. I agree with what Jeremy said. I know that safety is a big issue for people, and I think that making sure to hold people accountable is extremely important. And I do think that if we address some of these issues, people will feel like they are important and they will be willing to stay. So I think listening first to figure out what the problem is, and then trying to figure out how to prioritize how to fix it within our school system.
I think that the loss of students is probably the biggest hurdle facing our district right now. You can go down to Hay Creek Saloon. They had another bus this year to send more students out to Goodyear. I happen to be personal friends with a few of the families that have chosen to go out there, and I know I'm not trying to mimic anyone, but it is culture and safety out our district that is the main reason why they're going. I think we need to pull more of the people that are going, maybe figure that out, and then collaboratively with the board figure out how we can mitigate this loss and come together and improve our district to make it more appealing, so we stop this loss. Thank you.
I agree with what some of the people have said about there needs to be research to find out what the reasons are for families leaving this school district. But I was thinking it kind of goes back to the basics to again. The value of an education, and that's probably not being stressed. If we bring up the value of an education with our students, and then help the parents to understand that the Red Wing School District is where their children can get that valuable education. So it's a communication process, and it's an action, and we need to make sure that the actions we take, we're represented well as a valuable school, a valuable resource for an education.
Next we have Kim and then Michael. Would you like me to read the question again?
As far as people switching school districts, I think it's more so of a feeling like that the district are not meeting their needs. So I think that it would be helpful maybe for the families who transferred to send out maybe surveys and get their perspective of why they transferred, maybe ask the questions like, what could we do better, what they need help with. And then, so the question of kids going online, I think with more so the older kids that are going online, I don't think that it's that they don't want to be in school. I think it's more of a social, emotional thing. I think it's more so of they don't feel very social, they don't fit in, so they're really going to lie. And then also, you can look at their home, like a lot of kids go to school online, so they can work. Thank you.
Yes. What could the school board do to address the loss of student enrollment to other districts?
Understand what's going on. It breaks my heart to hear that safety and culture is an issue. When Red Wing Public Schools is probably one of the most culturally diverse schools in this area. And us as a school board, us as a community, we should be embracing that. And I think that's what proper representation comes into play. I was blessed to be able to work with students at one point in time. And one of the things that was always iterated to me was somebody like you, or somebody like Brother Phil over here. They want to see somebody, proper representation, I guess is the best way to put it. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to do one more question before the closing statements. And we're going to start with Stash, and then Kim, and then Michael. Excuse me. Do you believe a history of world religions class in the high school would be a benefit to our students? Please explain your answer.
Yeah, that's a recent one, isn't it? Teaching religion in the public school. there is one reason why they have this, separation of church and the state. Just, okay, imagine going to church on Sunday and preacher gets up there and gives us civics class. Social studies talking about something like that. Well, you wouldn't expect that, and that shouldn't happen. So religious studies should be in the family and church. The family and the home. Have your religion there, and learn at church and follow your ecclesiastical leaders. But books should be available for the students. You got the Quran, the Old Testament, New Testament, Book of Mormon, you got the Torah. Should be available for students to be able to read.
I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday, and I actually had a resident around me call me out one day. She said, I want to know more motive for what you think about religion classes in public schools. And I personally was always taught to never talk about politics and religion in public because this starts uproar. I don't think that religion should be taught in schools. One, you never know who you're offending. So you should just leave it as like a simple, if it's like involved in history or social studies, just a brief spin of it, maybe a question, example, what's one of the biggest religions in the world? Leave it at that. Don't go too much into it. That way no one's offended, and that's it. Thank you.
Next we have Michael, and then Natasha and Jeremy. Yes. Do you believe a history of world religions class would be a benefit to our students in the high school? Please explain your answer.
Yes, for the simple fact that says we're not instilling the religion onto our kids. We're just teaching them the history of it. When we send our kids out into this world, we want them to know what's going on in this world, right? So we're not I'm not enforcing Islam. I'm not enforcing Buddhism, Taoism, Christianity, whatever it may be. I'm just teaching you about the history, so when my child goes out into this world, or when your child or their child goes out into this world, they'll have a better understanding for themselves.
Well, I agree with Michael. Teaching the history of world religions as a social studies course would be very beneficial. The world religions have impacted history in many different ways in other subjects. And it's not the same as teaching somebody religion or trying to indoctrinate somebody into a religion. That's the separation of church and state. But as a social studies class, the history of religions could be very beneficial.
After Jeremy, we'll have Philip, then Ryan, and then Joe.
I also agree with Michael and Natasha that yes, we should be teaching the history of world religions at school. And, if we're concerned about some of the questions that it might cause, conflicting information between that religion, the religion that we practice in home versus religion, it provides good opportunities for families to have discussions at home to understand the values that they have.
Next we have Philip, then Ryan, and then Caleb.
Yes, I do believe that world religion should be taught in history classes because it's about the history of that religion. It's not them preaching to your student. That's where you have to take into account of who's teaching the class and make sure that the educator is a professional and they understand what you're teaching and how to teach it, and they're doing it in appropriate ways where they're not giving their personal views on when it comes to religion. I believe that comes down to the family to decide what they do with their own religion.
boy, this brings me back to 1993. A lot of newspaper articles about the history of world religion class back then. Like many of the other people said, I too think that this should be an elective class that would be very beneficial for students who want to take this. Whether it be Hindu, Buddhist, Catholic, Lutheran, there's a lot of history behind world religions. I think it's a better understanding of who we all are and what different cultures that derive from these religions would maybe help us better understand a lot of people. I don't have any objection to a world religion class.
I agree with what everybody has said pretty much. I do agree that it should be offered as an elective. And I think too, the more opportunities that we allow for our students to learn, the better off they are. So I think the more that we can learn about cultures and history and all that stuff, the better it is. So I agree with that.
Kayla, I'm going to ask you to stay up there because we're back around. You've gone all the way around the board now, and we're back to the beginning. So we're going to now give each of the candidates 90 seconds to offer their closing remarks about why they're running for the school board. And so we'll go Kayla, and then Stosh, and then Kim.
Ultimately, children's education is my primary focus. I want to make sure that we are also being fiscally responsible with the money that we have so that we can best allocate the funds. Also, safety is an issue, so I just want to make sure that I am continue to be involved in the community and listen and do research and advocate to prioritize best of what our students need so that we can, again, retain and attract students, staff, and teachers and make Red Wing Public Schools a good place to be again. So thank you for all coming tonight and for thinking that this is an important thing, because it really is. And if I was a representative on the school board, I would be so thankful. So thank you for your consideration for vote, and have a good evening.
Well, just a little bit more of the history of who I am. Grew up in a lower middle class family, went in the military, joined the Marines at 17. I have a total of 20 years military service, including 2 combat tours in Iraq. And part of that is one of the reasons why I believe basics are important, because the basics have gotten me through life, through all I've been through, and that's what our children need. Your children need to be able to make it through life, to be able to move forward, to make educated decisions about things that they should choose to do and choose to be involved in. We need a strong America, and that comes from having strong citizens, and that comes from having a good knowledge base of who we are and why we're here. Thank you.
Next we have Kim, then Michael, and then Natasha.
What made me want to run for school board is, I want to say about 2 years ago, I was subbing at Swinbluff. I was a recess teacher. Little boy ran up to me, literally, I didn't know him, just ran up to me, and he said, "Thank God, somebody quiet that looks like me," and ran off and played. That made my heart sink into my stomach. A lot of people see me, and when I talk at other engagements or in other organizations, they may look at me like, "Oh, she's just always advocating for people of color," which that is not true. In my professional life, I work with kids, and I don't have one kid on my caseload of color. I am an advocate for everybody, all colors, it doesn't matter. Also, I want kids that look like me to know they can do things that are important, they can make a difference, but they also can make that difference with people that don't always look like them as well. Thank everybody for this. I thank everybody for their support, and thank you.
Next we have Michael, and then Natasha and Jeremy.
We'll take my hand, English. My name is Michael J. Lickness Holmes. I'm the son of Willie Earl Holmes. And a year ago, I had my last conversation with Willie Earl Holmes as he moved on to the next life. One of those conversations was me joining the school board. He said, son, I'm so proud of you. And I'm gonna give a shout out to Marty Kelly and Bill Christensen, because when 30 years ago, when I was running these streets, they never gave up on me. And every time they see me now, they say, I was so proud of you. But that last conversation with my father, he said, son, don't do it for me. Do it because the love you have for these kids in this community, the love you have for your community. You moved back to Redmond for a reason, and this is that reason right here. If given a chance, I'll do the best, and I'll use these big old ears to listen and my big heart to soak it all in and do the best I can. But if elected, just know that I will put the work in, and I'm willing to put the work in. I'm not just doing it for you, I'm doing it for everybody, our kids, our community. And that's it, thank you.
The Red Wing School District means quite a lot to me. We chose to raise our children in Red Wing, and they went to these schools. If elected to school board, I will listen to the community so that I can bring the community's voice to the table. It's essential that all students feel like they belong here and in the schools. I bring a background in education and a passion for the welfare of children and adolescents. I would prioritize giving the students and the teachers the support they need to provide a quality education for all of the students in a fiscally responsible way. I like data, and data is used by the school board to make decisions about the budget and other things about the district, and all of those decisions need to have all of the students' best interest in mind, and that's what I would focus on. I'd like to thank you all for coming here, and feel free to vote for me.
Next, we're going to have Jeremy, then Philip, and then Brian.
I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this night, and also to all candidates, civic commitment for everybody involved, so I appreciate everybody running on. Main reason I was running is I've got children coming after the school, and I want to make sure they have a good education and safe, and they feel comfortable coming in. That also applies to all the other students in school and thing in our community. You know, there's nobody in our community that has more potential than our students, and we have to provide that environment for those. By holding them accountable and having high expectations, that's showing them that we believe and have faith in them, that we know they can do better than what they are. So that is why I'm ready for school board. So please let me. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you for giving us all the opportunity to speak as well. In my professional career, I am a project manager for a grocery store chain. I facilitate build-outs of new stores. With that, I have to deal with a lot of different teams, a lot of different projects, a lot of different personalities. If elected, that would be my main goal, is to help this board to make Redmond Public Schools the best it could possibly be by working with everyone, listening to people, understanding the different viewpoints. Also, I volunteer. I'm on the football board, the youth football board, and I used to be on the youth baseball board. My main goal to run was to look at these kids coming up and to give them the best possible chance to have a great education, and also have a great time in school and prepare themselves for the future. So I'm asking you all to vote for me. I also want to add that while I'm a below average public speaker, I also have a below average personality, but I'm very approachable. So if you want to talk more, I'd be happy to. And I'm great at talking to people, so feel free to approach. Thank you.
All right, that brings us to the end of our questions. You made it. Please, everyone, first. Thank all the candidates for participating tonight. As a former candidate, I'm excruciatingly aware of the courage and the commitment that it takes. Sorry. Oh, I'm sorry, Philip. I'm so sorry. Oh. How did I call on Ryan? That was, I apologize. Please don't. We're going to clap again.
Thank you everybody for coming out. My name is Phil White. I was born and raised in Red Wing. I'm 43 years old. I've got kids that go to school here. I don't even know how many nieces and nephews that are in the school district, and the families that I have supported in the past and the Red Wing community. I am running for them because I believe the community's voice is stronger than just a school board. And we need to hear from the people, just not the people sitting here. We can't make informed decisions that we can hear from with media. Thank you.
All right, now. As I was not very gracefully saying, I'm very aware of the courage and the commitment that it takes to throw your hat in the ring. And without your willingness to participate and offer up your services, we wouldn't be here tonight. I want to thank our league members for all the work that goes into, especially Tina, who did a great deal of the work to put on these events. We are in critical need of additional volunteers, so if you're interested, please see us. But could we please have a round of applause for the League of Women Voters? We will be returning on Thursday for the City Council Candidate Forum. And someone told me that we haven't received a lot of questions yet. If you're interested in asking a question of the City Council member, please, you can get information up front about how to submit your question by mail, I guess not mail now, but email, or by bringing it actually to the meeting that day. But we encourage you all to attend this Thursday at 5:30 at the same time. So thank you again, candidates. Thank you for everyone for coming, and please have a safe drive home.